Iceland is a weird country. It's a place where the sun never sets during the summer, a country where there are more sheep than people, and they don't even have McDonalds. But there's something even stranger. Iceland is one of the only countries in Europe that never once had a railway system. No metro, no trams, and never a single passenger train. So, why is that?
To answer that question, I'm going to Iceland. Binni, what's up, my guy? One thing I noticed when I was planning the trip is how horrible the link between the airport and the city. It is so car dependent. Everyone in Iceland pretty much drives here, right?
I would think about like maybe 95% drive. Most people have cars or just use their parents' cars or something. Yeah, most people just drive.
Have you ever been on a train before?
Yes, I have.
Would you see realistically seeing trains like being implemented here?
Maybe, I've heard talks about it. I just think the cost would be too much. This works to just drive, but like
Yeah, fair enough. Wow, the city would look so much better if it had rails on
Here we are.
Hey. Thank you, Binni, for taking us.
Of course, no problem, no problem.
Welcome to Iceland, specifically the capital, Reykjavik. As you can see, the only way you can get around here is by car or by yellow buses with these roads. What I did realize is that boat scooters actually exist here, so you can navigate through the city. But regardless, it might seem like Iceland never had trains at all. But that's not entirely true. You see, when it comes to Iceland and trains, I would describe their relationship as a situationship. There are three common characteristics to this. One, they get through the talking stage, go through some proposals, and then they get some commitment done to it. But then they eventually die off. And this cycle has happened in history several times. It started off with foreign companies planning to build railway lines. One of them was being from Reykjavik to Selfoss. And it had some support among Icelanders, but they were damn vetoed or damn ghosted by the parliament, since they didn't trust the companies and they weren't bothered to build them, probably because they can already go to Selfoss by ponies. So no railway was constructed until 1913.
Reykjavik at the time had a really poor harbor. This was a big problem because city growth was measured on whether your harbor is good or bad. So the biggest city was the one with the best harbor. And it wasn't Reykjavik. It was Hafnarfjörður. So Reykjavik really wanted to catch up and start reconstruction fast. In order to do that, they needed to carry heavy rocks from the south of the city in a place called Öskilif to the sea, where these rocks could be used to develop the harbor. And there was no better way to do that without the use of trains. So I'm going to show you the two Icelandic locomotives that they adopted to make the harbor railway happen. The first was... Where the f did he go? Where is Minor? No! Minor! Well, Minor was one of the locomotives that helped serve the harbor railway. And the other one should be at another museum.
There is no train in this museum. I was lied to by a post from 2013 that said the other locomotive would be in this museum. I think somewhere between 2013 and 2026 that locomotive disappeared.
Anyways, this railway was a huge help to reconstruct Reykjavik's harbor, and it sealed its fate as a capital as a result. If this railway never existed, Hafnarfjörður would have been the biggest city in Iceland today. Unfortunately, the harbor railway closed in 1928. There were other railway projects that were projected, like the Atvinnubotarvegurinn, but they've all been abandoned because pony roads were taken in priority.
So without these trains in Iceland, the only way you can use public transport to navigate through the city is by Strætó, Iceland's bus network.
And in many ways, these buses might just be enough for Iceland. But does it replace cars? Absolutely not. Buses cannot be better than cars. They are slower and still yet affected by traffic, so they're always seen as a last resort.
Of course you have like yellow buses. Do you ever find yourself using them?
Sometimes, not a lot, because I have a car. I mostly just use it if my car doesn't work. Mostly not, no.
Not to mention, most of buses are quite outdated already. I can tell because I haven't seen plastic strap handles for 12 years until now.
So linking back to its history, Iceland has never seen trains as a way to transport passengers. They've always seen it as cargo transport. But what about now? Is Iceland actually taking action, or is something else blocking them in their direction? To answer that question, I'm going to meet those who are highly responsible for Iceland's transport infrastructure. Hi, Árni.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming.
Why does Iceland not have a railway system?
It's a long story and it goes a little bit to history. Like there was even at some point a plan to build a railway station in Reykjavík.
Mm-hmm.
However, at the time we were just not enough money to basically build a railway system in Iceland.
I think there are numerous reasons why we didn't do it. We didn't think we needed it. There were so few of us. I guess that's the right answer. So I think that taking the step all the way to a rail system is too much for the few of us.
We're quite car-centric. Not only here in the capital area, it's also in small towns in the countryside where there are no distances longer than 500 meters. Some people say it's in the DNA, but I don't believe that. But
Pretty much. Have there been any talks about like an airport link? Are there any active plans on that?
I wouldn't call them active, no.
there were studies looking at a possible railway link between the airport and Reykjavík. Why that didn't happen? I guess they weren't able to sell the idea to those that could pay for that kind of thing at the time, at least. We are looking into this public transport link.
Okay.
There are a lot of ideas ranging from basically enhance the service that is already there. There are also ideas to build something they call Keflavík line, which is more like a bus rapid transit option to Keflavík. We have not reached any endpoint or decision point with all these ideas. Problem with that is that we have for a long time lacked dedicated legislation for public transport. Until now, nobody has really a legal duty to provide public transport. It's basically an optional service that municipalities can provide if they feel so.
We see the growth in commuting. The demand is on the rise, but for some reason we haven't taken the discussion seriously. Other capitals in the Nordic, they started planning their transport links like Arlanda when they had like similar numbers traveling between the city and the airport. So in my opinion, we need to take that step pretty soon, but we're not doing it in a proper way. Hopefully we will start doing it quite soon.
I could tell like Iceland has been struggling with like implementing anything that's not cars. Why?
In the 60s, we started to build all those outskirts neighborhoods. The city wasn't dense enough to build a proper public transport system. And also, there's something, I would say, in the Icelandic mindset that looks at the private car as a coat. We planned it for the private car. It was like in the 60s, the best thing you could have. It was like a private villa and a private car.
I think sort of resistance to the city to change and grow up.
Yeah.
Sort of. We didn't believe that we would ever be a medium-sized city or anything. We always thought like, okay, we'll just be a small town and everyone can drive and we can just live on the hills next to it and everyone can drive to work.
Yeah.
But then you realize in this century, okay, we're still growing and this won't work.
So what project is likely the next step for Iceland's public transport? Well, unfortunately, it's not trains, it's actually bus rapid transit, and it's called Borgarlína.
We're not building the first rail system in Iceland. We're doing planned, holistic infrastructure for public transport, creating a network of separate lanes and stations for buses.
Why a BRT and not like a light rail or a train?
It's complicated. You might say that we have 6 municipalities in the capital area and all of them want better public transport. Building a rail network, light rail, takes more time and it's more expensive than building a BRT system.
What's like the next big thing in the public transport industry?
And after version 1 of Borgarlína.
Even after version 1 of Borgarlína?
Yeah.
Even just outside Borgarlína?
We're investing a lot in cycling infrastructure as well. We're investing in like 100 kilometers of new bicycle lanes.
Cycling has amazing potential in Iceland. We're not going to build a Borgarlína or railway system with a 1,000 people community.
No.
But this is where the biking and walking, active transport modes could play a huge role in improving livability of these small communities.
Definitely.
We're building a new network for public transport and also a new network for cyclists. So we're building 2 new networks to connect people better and move people in different ways.
So, what I've learned from both of these interviews is that Iceland is filling a gap of transport demand, just in a different way. Over the past few years, shared scooters have been common across the city, just like these Bolt scooters, and they're actually one of the first cities in the world to have them here.
We were early adopters when it came to shared scooters, and there's an Icelandic company called Hopp. They've been really successful, and the politicians and everyone liked it. That's always, I want to say, cute. And I think that was like a really quiet revolution in a way, and showed us that we are not stuck in the current transport behavior.
Okay, so if we're not getting trains now, the real question is, will we ever see national trains in Iceland? Ever.
Realistically, I don't think so. I'm sorry. Basically, just to cover the ring, 1,500 kilometers of track, you would need, along with all the rolling stock and the stations and everything, to connect 400,000 people. I don't know if this business case is ever going to make sense.
Not much demand and supply. I understand.
Yeah.
What about within the city?
If the Borgarlína project proves successful, Borgarlína would change from a BRT to a light rail system. I think that would be the first step network.
Not even an airport link?
Yes, that could be a part of it.
Okay.
I think this is a realistic future vision.
Yeah, we're not getting a train from Reykjavik to Selfoss in the foreseeable future. So, BRTs and psychopaths are the future to make public transport better. But even with these changes, one thing still dominates: the car. Iceland has one of the highest car ownership rates in the world. This factor shapes everything, because when a car is built around cars, it becomes much harder to justify building something like a railway system later on.
And even when new ideas are proposed, they often face long planning processes and slow decision making. Do you know why? Because we haven't figured out how to manage public transport. This is why they suffered from proposing an airport link more than once. And speaking of politics, there is always conflict. Some figures in Iceland don't want public transport and hates projects like the Borgarlínan or the airport link.
Even if you don't have a car, you could probably just roll on a boat or just walk there. Everywhere in Reykjavik is walkable. So in conclusion, why does Iceland have no trains? Well, it's not just volcanoes. It may partially be population, but the real reality is it's a combination of economic decisions that can't possibly be done, the fear of diminishing the car with better public transport, and the difficulty of making bureaucratic policy decisions. And plus, they found more viable and suitable alternatives. Iceland wants to prove that you don't need a train to make public transport good. In summary, Iceland didn't fail to build trains. It simply never had a strong enough reason to do so. Ouch, I shocked myself.